So I didn't hit my word count this week, but I did manage to edit 10 chapters, survive a personal training session that left me sore for days, audited every single one of my social media platforms, and went to the beach. Welcome to week 4 of Audit Curriculum. Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to week 4. Let us dive into what we're going to be doing for this week. So we've got 3,000 to 5,000 words for the creative writing, which that one's going to continue to be the same. I think I'm going to be bumping it up next week, so spoiler alert. But I'm also going to be doing an end of the month reflection, and that's just going to be me talking to you guys about how I'm feeling at the end of the month, because I thought it'd be interesting to kind of like every month that I'm doing the course, at the end, at least for some of the courses, I would do like a little reflection on how I think things are going and that kind of thing, which obviously I'm telling you guys anyway how things are going, but I thought like a end of month one would be nice. So that will be coming up towards that section. We're going to be doing 10 more chapters for Twisting Fates for proofreading and editing. For the classic lit, we're going to be doing chapters 34 through 40 for Monte Cristo, which again, still enjoying. Communications, we're going to be doing our platform specific plans for the action plans, but I'm also going to be doing like with the end of month like the end of month reflections for the creative writing. I'm also going to be doing an end of month audit for my social media platform. So I thought for that I would include at least the YouTube one, because that's where you guys are seeing me. Hello. So I'm going to do the YouTube version of it for you guys. So I'm going to be doing all of, well, let me say, I'm going to be doing all of them on my own, but I'm going to include the YouTube one on the discussion for that section. So that's coming up. The health and wellness, we're going to be doing our yoga morning session still. I've been enjoying that a lot. Another thing that I'm going to be adding is I'm going to try to decrease doom scrolling, because as I had done, I think in another video, I can't remember which author curriculum week it was, but I'd had a night where I literally couldn't sleep because I was on TikTok scrolling around, and one video popped up, and because of how the algorithm works, another video came up, and another, and I was so stressed out and so upset that I literally could not sleep. It took me hours to, like, again, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I usually go to bed at around like 11ish. So hours I could not sleep. So I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I think I need to start decreasing the amount of phone time that I have, especially right before I go to bed. I'm not the best about it, so it's going to be kind of a hard task for me to do, if I'm quite honest, because it's kind of part of my routine of just unwinding. And I have curated my For You page so nicely, where most of the content is again about books, or it's about cozy stuff, and cozy a video game. Like, just I've made it very purposely cozy. However, again, you see one thing that pops up because it's a popular topic, and then it floods your feed. So for that reason, I'm going to try and decrease the amount of doom scrolling that I'm doing, or just scrolling in general, and trying to replace that with more mindful wind down habits. So either reading something or finding another activity to do right before bed. So that way I still have that like routine, because that's what I think I really cling to, is these routines of like, okay, well, I'm used to, getting ready for bed, laying down, pulling up my phone, not doom scrolling, but just looking at my phone, scrolling through TikTok for a few minutes, and then going to bed. So that routine is very ingrained. So breaking that routine and replacing it with something more positive, something more, just something better that for my mental health, I think is going to be really helpful. So that's what we're going to try to do for this week. And then for the sculpting, I'm going to be doing my 3 keychain designs. I'm thinking I've got a couple different options and I have been baking and doing all that kind of stuff with my little clay. So I do have some options of what I would like to do, but I think I'm going to have to talk through it with you guys. So that is what we've got going on this week. So let us get to it. Hello, my lovelies. Good morning. It is Tuesday, as of recording this, it is the 23rd. So I guess happy Rapture Day if you're on that side of the internet. Okay. For regular people, I am going to be working on some more writing today. So yesterday I was able to get a decent chunk done, which I was able to reach my 1500 minimum. I've started doing for writing days. I have to do at least, in order to reach the 3K minimum, I have to do a minimum of 1500 words per day of the 2 days that I do writing. So yesterday I was able to meet the 1500. I think I went a little bit over. So today we are going to try to push to go well over that, so that way we can get to the 4,000 minimum. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit pessimistic of that, just because, again, I've got a lot to do today in general besides this stuff, and there's just a lot going on in the world, and I'm feeling a little heavy because of it, and I try to avoid certain things so that I can take care of my mental well-being, but you can't avoid everything all the time. So feeling a little in my feelings today. So we're going to try to focus on the good things. We're going to try to focus on something positive. So I'm going to work on my book. So we're going to push through today. We're going to do our minimum 1500, but again, I'm going to try to push harder. I would love to do 2,500 words today if I can. If not, I'm not going to beat myself up about it, obviously, but we're going to do our best and then move forward with our day. Can we type now? No? Okay, more cuddles, okay. All right, we're going to call it quits for the day for writing. So, yes, I'm cuddling with my cat right now. You asked for this. You asked for this. So, we are going to call it quits for the day. I know my goal is for the 3,000 per week. I am under that with about 2,100 words total for the week so far. But, all right, do you just want to move to a different position? Ah! Come back, little nugget. Come here. You want attention. You just want it your way. What do you want? He doesn't know what he wants. I don't know what I want either. Basically, I'm just filming this little clip because I am really tired. It has been a mentally exhausting week, and it's only Tuesday. So I'm gonna. So, quick rundown. I, again, have been in kind of a weird mental state in the past week or two. And the whole thing with this challenge is I geared it so that I could enjoy it and I could have fun and it doesn't feel like a chore. And I still want to continue that trend. So basically for the rest of tonight, I'm just going to take it easy. I didn't hit my word count goal for the week so far, but the way that I set this entire week up is in preparation for the beach trip that I'm going on with my husband and my friends over the weekend. So I have a little bit of time within pockets of working on Friday that I could probably squeeze in some extra writing if I wanted to in order to meet my word count goal. But I don't want to push it today because, again, I want to focus on my mental health. That's part of the health and wellness part of my journey. So we're just going to kick back. We're going to relax. I had some Chipotle for dinner and love Chipotle. Great. Got that done. We're going to just kick back, relax. I might make myself something nice to drink, which I'm not a drinker, so it'll be something like a nice tea or something like that. But we're going to have some of that. I've got some friends that I'm going to be playing some girl gaming with later. I'm very excited about that. If you don't have a group of girls that you do girl gaming with, where you just play video games online co-op with them, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because it is so much fun. It is so great. I mentioned before, I'm playing Planet Crafter. That is the game I'm doing with them on co-op. And we were laughing because all of us are married. All of our husbands are friends with each other. So it's a great time. And it's hilarious because we were laughing about the fact that the game has a butterfly dome. And we were like, if the guys had to play this, they wouldn't care about the butterfly dome. But we were giggling and throwing little giggle fits over the fact that we had a butterfly dome and you could build one and fill it with butterflies. And let me tell you, my little internal girly was screaming. She was squealing with joy. So would recommend playing a video game with your girlfriends if you have the opportunity. Would highly recommend. Side tangent, if you're here, you're well aware of my side tangents. We're going to take a break from the writing. I've got 2 days of editing up ahead. So that's why I'm kind of letting the writing go to the wayside a little bit, because I know the next 2 days is going to be 10 chapters of editing, which if you saw how last week's editing of 10 chapters went, you know how much fun that was. Granted, I was not feeling well and was legitimately sick from that COVID and flu boost or whatever. We know how that went though, so I barely was able to scrape through on that because of how bad I was feeling. So I'm hoping to save some mental capacity in order to get through that this week. So that way I can have at least one solid week of the editing with no problems whatsoever. I hope I'm not jinxing myself on that. We're going to take it easy with the writing today. I'm going to make it up on Friday if I can. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's just a silly little challenge. I'm still going to finish the book at some point. I'm still going to finish editing the other book. I would just like to get it done in a timely fashion because I'm type A and I like things done in a certain time frame, even if it's unrealistic, but that is what it is. So we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to have some girly time, and I will see you in the next clip. All right, let's talk about the end of month writing reflection that I had set for my weekly task this week. So I'm going to say, as a preface to all of this, I am a little skewed in my response for this particular reflection because, yes, I just had like a bad writing week, barely hit my writing count, but we're going to try not to let that affect the overall writing reflection as a whole, because I think going into next month, I'm just going to have to keep an eye on how things are going and see how I'm feeling, because I have this problem where like I think of things very black and white in terms of productivity, where it's either all or none. Like I'm either 100% or I'm 0%. And I think I really need to work on myself in that aspect of like, any progress towards the end is good progress. Any progress towards completing a book is a good thing, because you're writing a book. You're not like grading a paper. I think I need to start inserting, particularly on weeks where my creativity is super low, or, those kind of factors. I need to start factoring in other activities that I could be doing that is still in some way adding to the craft of writing. So I think when I had set up the course, I had talked about, reading Stephen King's On Writing, which I threw that in as that would be great if I could get around to it kind of thing. But I think I need to be much more mindful of actually reading that, and maybe even researching a couple other craft books for writing that I could be reading throughout this whole process. So when I have weeks where the creativity is just not there or the word count is not there, I'm also doing something that's adding to the craft. So it's like, okay, well, I didn't hit like the 4,000 minimum, because like this coming up week, I'm trying to do 4,000 to 6,000, which anyway. So when I'm like, okay, well, I didn't reach the 4,000 minimum this week, but I also read something that helps me add to my craft, if that makes sense. So I think adding those little other tasks into this course is going to be beneficial for me. So I think for the overall month, in general, I feel like I've done decently well. Again, any progress is good progress, and I should be celebrating that. And I'm a perfectionist. If you are an artist, a creative in any way, I know you relate to me on this, that we are such perfectionists that if it's not 100% perfect, if it's not 100% exactly the way that we imagined it to be, exactly the way that we pictured it in our heads, then it's like, it's a failure. Everything is awful. Everything is terrible. Play the violin music. Like everything is bad. So I think I need to work on that aspect as well, because I am notorious for trying to be perfect on every aspect of the writing or whatnot. And the whole point of a zero draft is it's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be just getting the idea onto the page. It's supposed to be getting your initial story out there so that you can tailor it later and make it perfect as you go. But I'm so obsessed with like, I want it to immediately be perfect so that way I can start getting books out. I can start getting the thing going and start pushing books out like I'm Nora Roberts or Stephen King and just popping these puppies out every 5 minutes. But that is just not realistic, especially as I'm just getting started. Like that is just not realistic. So I need to tailor my expectations a little bit better in trying to make sure that I'm getting things done, but I'm having some grace with myself that not every week is going to be super, super productive. I need to factor that in as well. It's just not every week is going to be the most productive. I'm just getting, checking everything off and just everything's ready to go. For my end of month reflection on writing, I think, hello, Luna. I think that's my biggest takeaway is just I need to have a little bit more grace with myself. I would love to get obviously to the word count that I'm trying to get, because the whole purpose of this particular writing course for the curriculum for my creative writing is to finish the book of Project DDD. And while I would still really hope that that's the actual outcome, I need to be realistic that that may not be the outcome, because that is basically 3 months to write a book. That's 3 months when I have a full-time job, when I have, married, got other things going on. The month of October is just absolutely insane for travel for us, just because it's a lot going on. We have our wedding anniversary at the end of October. It's my birthday at the end of October. My godson has his birthday coming up, so that we're going to have to go out of town for. So there's just a lot of stuff coming up this month, especially, that it's just not going to be realistic if I every single month, with months like this, I'm like, I am not being super, super productive every millisecond of the day. So I need to chill out a little bit on that, realize that that's just not going to be realistic every time. And it's okay if I don't, even if I get 50% of the way through the book by the end of this course, that is still a win. That is still a win. And I could make it into, part 2 of this course for next semester of, okay, well, we didn't finish it this semester, let's finish it next semester. So I think just being realistic of, figuring out how long it actually takes me to write things, which for Twisting Fates, it took me, I think about 6 months to write that book. Yeah, I think about 6 months. So to literally half it in order to finish this course is a push. And I knew it was going to be a push. So we're still going to try our best. We're not going to give up, and we're not going to make excuses about it, but we are going to have grace with ourselves. I'm talking to me, but I'm also talking to you. We're going to finish our books. I had some other questions I was going to look at off to the side. So am I hitting a rhythm? So yes, I am hitting a rhythm. Again, this week was kind of a, hit and miss kind of situation, but I am hitting a rhythm. I am enjoying having the 2 writing days. And I think having that routine at the minimum has been helpful of okay, these 2 things are the only things I'm allowed to do on these days. So that is indeed helpful. Do I need to adjust daily writing goals is the other one, which I think that kind of ties in with what I just said of, adjusting expectations and all of that. So I think, again, so end of month reflection, final thoughts. I think overall I'm doing pretty well. I want to see how things go by the end of the next month, by the end of this coming up month, because again, I do have a lot that's coming up. I do have a lot of out of town stuff. So I want to get a little bit more data, I should say, before I make any decisions on adjusting the word count or anything like that. So that is my end of the month thoughts on the creative process. So let us move on to the rest of the video. Good morning, my lovelies. It is now Wednesday morning. Today is an editing day. I'm going to be doing the next few chapters. I've got 5 chapters to do today, 5 chapters to do tomorrow. So it's going to be a busy day with all of that said. So I've got my coffee in hand, and we're going to get started here in a little bit. If you can't tell, I'm usually pretty brain dead right before I have my coffee completely finished off. So, it is what it is. We're going to get started with the day and see how today goes. I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week, which obviously I was under the weather because of the flu and COVID booster shots I had to take. So feeling a heck of a lot better from that. Hopefully I won't have any issues with feeling crappy today. So let us get started with editing. Okay, babes, we have finished our 5 chapters for the day. I would like to thank the Academy and this matcha latte that I made, mostly because that's where all the energy came from for the second half of the day. Because after chapter 2, or not chapter 2, but after the second chapter that I was editing, I started to feel real sluggish, real sleepy again. It's about 7 o'clock right now. I'm so not excited when it starts to get dark constantly, because like I'm not built for that. I cannot, like, I remember being a kid. It was like the best thing ever that you got to sleep in. But now it's like, please don't make me go to work when it's dark and come home when it's dark. So we are going to just move past that. So we are done with our 5 chapters for the day. So we did good. We're doing great so far. We're right on track for things. I'm going to hope that that continues to tomorrow for another 5 chapters. So I will see you guys then. Good morning. A quick update as we go into what is now day 2 of editing. So we did 5 chapters yesterday. We've got 5 more chapters to do for the week for Twisting Fates. So I'm actually really excited about today's 5 chapters because the first chapter is the confession scene, and then the love scene is immediately after that. So the first 2 chapters are like the big romantic scenes of this, I guess, editing week. So I'm excited to do that because obviously it's more fun, and also more selfishly, there's not as much for me to edit in those chapters because those are 2 chapters that I'm relatively happy with going into this draft of Twisting Fate. So I'm pretty, knock on wood, pretty confident that these will be fairly minimal edits that I need to do for these. So we're going to get started here in a little bit before I have to hop on for work. I've got a work call here in a little while, right? Not long after I sign in. So got all that. And then we're going to sneak in word count where we can. So let us get started. All right. We have just finished our 10 chapters for the week. Yeah. Woohoo. As you can tell, my husband can hear me from his office. Thank you, babe. So we have completed our 10 chapters for the week. I am currently at the start of chapter 26. So starting chapter 26 next week, and then we'll do 10 chapters from there. Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly how many chapters I have left till the completely end of the book. I know it's in the 30s, so I'm hoping by the end of next week, I will either be very, very close to being done with all of the edits I need to do, or I will be completely done. So we will see when we get into next week. But we have officially finished with our chapters, and I'm really excited because I was able to get them done pretty succinctly today. It might be because I didn't have to do, at least for the first 2 chapters, which I was actually surprised there was a little bit more that I needed to just kind of tweak in the spicy scene. So I did have some more things I needed to tweak in that chapter than I initially thought I did. But overall, I think it might have also just been, this is like not the climax, but it's a very, I'm not 10, I swear. I think it's just because there was a lot going on in those chapters, so it was a very exciting 5 chapters. So it was a lot of like action sequences, and like the end of the chapter I just did is a very big action sequence that is leading into the next chapter. So the next chapter will be exciting as well. So next week we will continue on with this, and for now, as you are seeing it, we will continue to the next part of the video. So see you then. All right, let us quickly discuss my updates on the Count of Monte Cristo. If you have not read the Count of Monte Cristo and you do not want the spoilers for it, skip this entire section because that's all I'm going to be talking about is spoilers for the book. So I will see you in the next section. So be on your merry way. Otherwise, hello. As opposed to the past couple times where I've given you an update where I just kind of give you some just general thoughts, I wrote down some of my reactions to some things that were happening, and I thought that would be funny. So I'm going to look off screen as I'm reading my notes out to you because these were my thoughts as I was reading through. This was for chapters 31 through 40 for this particular week. So first of all, I found out later, and this was a note that I wrote, I found out later that the reason that 31 to beyond feels so different is that originally when the author Alexander Dumas published all of this, it was like a serialized thing. So he was just publishing spurts of it at a time. So if it feels weird, that's why. And I didn't know that beforehand. So that was an interesting little tidbit. The other thing, a 10-year time jump from the events in Marseille when Sinbad, aka definitely Edmond, meets this guy Franz. Like, what happened during that time? Like, it basically go, he escaped prison, he gets his fortune or whatnot, or he finds his fortune that he had gotten on the Monte Cristo. And then there's like another time jump. Like, there's another one. Like, he's been in the prison for 14 years. Then we get another 10-year time jump. Like, what happened? Where did that time go? Like, I understand from like the story perspective, but like, my man's, what happened? I had read that and I was just like, there's another time jump. This poor man, 24 years. That's 24 years. So there was a part where they were talking about Edmund's skin, and Franz is like being really weird about it. And he's just like, I don't want to touch him because it just looks unnatural. Again, notes. It looks unnatural, and this guy touches it and shudders because of how unnaturally pale he is. For some reason, the only thing I could think of while I was listening to this on Audible was the scene from Twilight. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. This is not beautiful. This is the skin of a killer. Like, that's all I could think of. And it fits because they constantly are talking about how they think that Edmond / Count of Monte Cristo / Sinbad, they constantly are talking about how they're pretty sure he's a vampire. Like, they're pretty sure. They're not positive, but like, he's so unnaturally pale and so rich and so this and so that and so sophisticated. So they're like, he must be a vampire. So that just made me laugh. And again, I could not get the image of Twilight out of my head while listening to this. It's another note. Edmund will be talking, and then all of a sudden we'll be like, and then I got high. And then I got high. And I'm just like, I love that for him. You had a really rough 14 years there. Love that for you, but it just made me laugh because like every time he's talking about like, you know, what he's been doing, because I was like a big thing back then was like taking drugs to like open your mind and that kind of thing. And again, back in the 60s and 70s too, that was another time period where that was a big, but back when this was being written, apparently that was also a really big surge, was that they were doing drugs to open their minds. So it was just like every other thing he was talking about. And he's like, and then I got high. So those are just some of my thoughts. I had, again, I've started just like jotting down notes as I'm listening to it. So that way I don't forget by the time I come and talk to you guys about it. So those are just a couple of them. Two other things for this. I had mentioned last time on trying to come up with some ways to like make this fun. So two different things I'm going to be doing. So one is that at the end of this whole course, I'm going to be picking one or two, either a movie or a show or both, doing both, that are based on Count of Monte Cristo. So I'm going to be doing that as like my end of the course activity of like, I'm going to watch a movie or watch a series, depending on which one I end up liking, and going with that. The other thing, and I saw it was a video, and it sparked this just surge of memories and childhood glee. Does anybody remember back in like middle school, elementary school, that time range when they were all about the accelerated reading stuff, the AR points? Does anybody remember that? Because I remember being in elementary school and in middle school, and it was, again, a thing where like you read a book and then you went into the library and you took like a quiz, and each book, like if you pass, each book is worth a certain number of like AR point, and you get a prize after you get like a certain number of points. And I remember, if you were in my school, I swept your ass under the rug with that. Because I was in there like a fiend. I was reading everything I could put my hands on, and I was taking those quizzes because I was like, you think I'm not going to win this? You think this is my sport? This is my sport. Anyway, I had this whole thing come up on my page, and I was remembering all of this, and I was like, I remember how much fun I had doing that too. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I thought it would be fun if we were to take some quizzes each week, because each week I've been doing 10 chapters, and I had pulled up Spark Notes just because there was like one or two sections where I was like, or like 1 or 2 chapters where I got really confused. So I pulled it up as just like, okay, just help me like understand what happened here. And then I looked, and SparkNotes has quizzes you can take. So that got me thinking, what if we were to do quizzes each week? Because again, 10 chapters, these quizzes are like 5 chapters. So basically I would take 2 quizzes each week. And if I pass the quizzes, like in total between the 2, if I pass, I get points towards a prize at the end of the course or at the end of the week. I haven't decided on that part yet. I haven't even decided on the prizes yet. I just know I really want to do quizzes and do this little AR system. So at the very least, what we're going to do now is we're going to take these 2 little quizzes for the 5 chapters per, so 2 quizzes for this week. And next week I'll make a decision on exactly how I want to do points and rewards and all that kind of stuff. But at the very least, we can have one set of quizzes under our belt. So let us be off and let's do a quiz together. Hello. Okay. So I had to do this whole filming thing later. So I'm obviously in a different outfit and it is early in the morning. I just filmed the audit of my YouTube stuff. So we're going to do this real quick. I am so excited. I found this quiz and I haven't looked at it. And there's 2 different sections, as you can see over here, because I've read the 10 chapters. So we're going to do a quick quiz. I haven't decided on the prizes yet. Let me know in the comments if you can think of something that would be like a fun reading prize that I could do if I get enough points, or so to speak. But for the meantime, we're just going to take the quiz. I'm going to write down the results, and then hopefully next week I can think of something. So let's get started. So number 1, these are for, again, so we've got chapters 31 through 34 for this quiz. The next one's going to be 35 through 39, I think. Yeah, 39. So yes, we did to 40, but we're going to do that we'll save that for next one. So what is the original purpose of Baron Franz, I'm not going to destroy his name, initial visit to the island of Monte Cristo? That was to hunt goats, I believe. Yes. Viscount Albert de Morif is the son of which character? I think it's Danglars, right? Yeah, it's no. Okay. I know he's here, but okay, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, for Albert. Okay. I'm thinking of a different person. Okay. Albert and Franz are in Rome to attend a carnival that precedes which religious holiday? Is it Passover? Or I don't think it's Christmas. I think it's Passover. I'm doing great so far. Who is Luigi Vampa? Oh, he's a bandit. Okay, at least I get something right. According to the Roman hotel owner, which lost traveler gave Luigi Vampa 2 small jewels in exchange for directions? I think it was Sinbad. Yeah. Okay. So I got 3 out of 5. I'll write that. I'll keep that somewhere. So 3 out of 5 on the first one. So let's move on to the next one. At which Roman landmark does Franz overhear the conversation between Dantes and Luigi? Ooh. I think they're not in Greece, are they? Are they in Greece? I should know this, shouldn't I? I'm going to say the Colosseum. It was, I knew that the whole time. The whole time, I knew it. At the opera, Countess G is terrified by Monte Cristo, who she thinks is vampire. We literally just talked about that, vampire. What public spectacle does Monte Cristo admits he finds fascinating? I think it's executions. Yeah, he's a little morbid. Who is kidnapped for ransom by bandits? Okay, that's not Ferdinand. It's not Franz. Is it Albert? I'm suddenly forgetting all the names. They all like blend together. I think it's Albert though. Yeah, okay. So it is Albert. What does Monte Cristo ask Albert to do for him when he visits Paris? He wants to introduce him to society. Okay. So 5 out of 5 out of that one. So I will take it. So far with our quizzes, with the 2 from the last one, that means I am 8 out of 10. So I consider that a pass. Yeah. Okay. So that is the quiz for this week for the activity that we're going to be doing. Next week, I'm going to have to see if I want to do more of these quizzes or if I'm going to add something else. So I don't know yet, but stay tuned. We'll figure it out together next week. So for now, we have passed. I'm getting my points for this week. So hip, hip, hooray. Hello. So I wanted to do this real quick while I had a few minutes before I start with my regular job, because I have talked about the audits that I've been doing, and I wanted to show you at least one of them. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I was going to show you, because you guys are seeing me on YouTube, I thought it would be fun if I showed you the YouTube audit update that I've done. So this is my Notion, which I use to track basically everything of my author stuff. So I've got all my stuff, and I've been beautifying it, so to speak. So it's been going through some changes, but this is what I've got for my author curriculum for my Notion. So I have everything for all of my courses and all the notes I've been taking under each course. So for my communications, I've put it under here. I put it under notes. And then these are the initial audits that I did. So everything that I did for my initial audit is here. These are the updated ones that I did for the month of September after a month of doing everything. So all of these are here. And so I'll briefly touch on like what I found when I did my YouTube audit. So pull that up. So basically, I've mentioned before, I'm a very type A person. So I like organization. I have talked to a bunch of people. I did a bunch of stuff where I looked at marketing online and all this other stuff. So not all of this information is like the most accurate on the planet or anything like that, but this is just based off of what I found with the numbers that I had, what I interpreted them to mean, and what I interpreted them to mean for action plans going forward. So this is like a little section for my progress snapshot. So it's just like a quick overview of all of the numbers that I had, which are from what I read online and what I saw from like a bunch of marketing on like YouTube and like social media stuff, is the numbers of what things people tend to look for when they're trying to like do an audit for their stuff. So I did the subscriber count, the view count for both the shorts and videos, because I post both, the click-through rate or the CTR, and then the average view duration for the long form content. So I have that section. I have the strengths and weaknesses. So based on the numbers and stuff like that, I kind of read through basically what the changing of numbers means and how long it takes to do certain, like how long it was. So a month. And I have a section on strengths and I have a section on weaknesses. So like the strengths, for example, the longer form content is doing a lot better than when I originally started posting. So we're very happy about that, because the higher view count that I was getting and the higher retention rate that I was seeing on certain videos of the long form content was a lot higher than it had been previously. So long form is doing a little bit better than it was. And I said the audience is sticking around longer, which may be because I've been trying to work on getting better at editing content. Because again, when I started this whole thing, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of editing content, editing video. Like this is all brand new to me, and I love doing it, and I love figuring this stuff out and getting better at it. So I'm glad that that's starting to show, because people are tending to stick around a little bit longer, which is very good. And then the subscriber growth has been pretty consistent, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm so grateful and so lucky that that's the case. So thank you guys for joining me and sticking around. So what that also means with the click-through rate, with weaknesses, try not to bash my thing. So click-through rate has also been improving, but it's still, in terms of all of my other stuff, it's the lowest in terms of growth. So like while the other ones have grown a little bit more substantially, the click-through rate is not quite where I would like it to be, if that makes sense. And again, I'm pulling a lot of this stuff out of my so we're figuring all this out as we go. So whether 100% of, I'm just going to continuously hit my mic, whether this is all continuously like the case, or whether it's just me and how I'm interpreting it, we'll see. So anyway, moving on. So I have a whole section on what I think will be the next steps for what I can be doing in order to improve everything. So improving the click-through rate, boosting average view duration, strengthening shorts, because I found that I have, obviously, because I'm posting shorts much more frequently, I post one of those a day, whereas I post only one long form video per week. So obviously I'm getting more traction through shorts because more people are getting eyes on it, because I'm putting more content out. But those numbers of like people who watch the shorts and then come over to watch like my long form content is not quite there yet, which I'm still figuring out exactly what and how I want to post for shorts on YouTube. So that may be what the like missing link there is, but I want to strengthen those shorts and to make it more fun and more engaging so that people when they see the shorts they want to automatically come over and watch like the longer form content as well. So that's what that means. And then refining target audience. So what was really interesting to me when I was looking at like the numbers is what they tell you is what your average audience age is, which I didn't know that they did, but when you go into like your metrics and your analytics or whatnot, it tells you exactly what age ranges your audience is. And I actually had a much wider range than I thought I did. I thought it was like people just like my age who were just kind of like, oh, this crazy person. Let me give them a view. But it's actually a little bit of a wider range than I thought it was. So, and again, the thing with a lot of these audits is again, so I'm showing you this one. I'm not going to show you the other ones, but I wanted to show you at least one of the audits that I did and like kind of the behind the scenes of doing even like the YouTube stuff because like this is stuff I have to factor in. I don't like having to factor in. I don't like it to feel robotic or like, oh, I'm just here for the views. I'm just here to get you to view my stuff because that's not the case. Like I just like recording my journey along here and I like engaging with you guys and I love talking with you guys in the comments and that kind of thing. So like that's what's more important to me, but I'm viewing all of this as a more step back because obviously I'm very close to the content. It's me, it's my life, all that kind of stuff. But this stuff is I have to take like a step or two back and be a little bit more objective of like, okay, well, if I want to, because the whole goal is like to improve and like see if I can grow and all that kind of stuff. So I have to take a couple steps back and view it from a more objective lens, if that makes sense. So that way I can like look in and go, okay, well, based on the numbers I have in front of me, not considering, yes, this is my life, all that stuff, that these are the numbers that I'm seeing. These are the things that I probably should be doing in order to grow this particular channel. So that is like the very basic. And if you want, again, I'm going to leave this on screen for a second. If you want to take a look more at it, you're more than welcome to read all of it. But I wanted to just kind of give you a quick little like look through so that you guys actually see what these audits look like. And going forward, I'm going to see if I can like slowly start integrating more of like this kind of stuff into my regular content, so to speak. But I hate the whole like these again, like I said, with the objective and the non-objective, like the non-objective side of me is like, oh, I don't like having to put the numbers and all that kind of stuff because it just feels weird. But like the objective side of me is like, no, this is part of like the journey. This is part of the course that I talked about. So the more objective side of me is like, no, I think occasionally showing this kind of stuff and showing like the behind the scenes of like what it takes to do this kind of stuff is it can be really interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna do my best, but don't hold me to that because I don't know if that's going to be the case for everything. So that is it for this. We're going to go on to the next section now. So I'll see you there. All right, babes. So we are at the end of this video. How did we do overall? That's probably what you're asking, and I'm going to answer it because overall, I think I did okay. With everything else given, with everything I had going on, and given some current circumstances that make a lot more sense from last week, or this, obviously this week I've just done, I think I did pretty well. Yes, I didn't meet my word count goal. I'm a little sad about that, but at the same time, like, this is a process. This goal, this whole curriculum is one, yes, I want to be able to achieve the goals and I don't want to like put off doing them or like make excuses for not reaching goals or anything like that. But I want to have some grace with myself because again, I have a lot going on and that's just the way things are. So overall, I was able to add to the word count. So it wasn't a complete, like, obviously, like I just didn't do anything for it. I did get words in. It did happen. It just wasn't the amount that I had wanted. So we're going to take the win where we can, where it was done. The big win of the week is I was able to edit all 10 chapters for Twisting Fates and no issues were had with that part of the week. So I'm very happy about that. That one, I feel, honestly, if I'm being really honest with you guys, honestly, I think the editing portion has been slightly easier than the writing portion in the sense that, like, I've already written the book. So going through and I've already made all the notes that I needed to make. I've already read through everything. So the hard part of the editing, so to speak, is over with, but it's just been like implementing those changes, which obviously is not super easy either. But like, does that make sense? Like the editing, the reading, the, taking extensive notes, that part of it was already done. It was just like now actually putting it into action. So what I have learned through counting all my chapters and going through everything and planning, because I'm already obviously planning for next week, going through everything, we will complete this edit of Twisting Fates after next week's video, after next week's author curriculum. So next week you will get to see me finish the edits for this, which is pretty exciting because the next steps, I'll talk more about that in next week's video, so we won't hash that out too much, but that's going to be exciting for next week. Other stuff, I think, for the polymer clay and that kind of thing, I'm still a little iffy on how I want to approach it. Come here. You want to say hi? Would you like to say hello? Good morning. She just wants to cuddle, I think. Yeah, she just wants to cuddle. So, thank you. Thank you for the kisses. So, I do have some decisions I want to make for going forward with which design of the keychain I want to do. So, it's more just really coming down. And I think for next week's goals, it's going to be me really making a decision on what I want to do and just kind of go with it. So, pick something and then go forward with it. So, that part is going decently, I think, now that I actually have some options that I can pick from. Communications also did pretty decently on because, the big thing for this week was just going through auditing everything and reviewing what I need to do going forward, which for me, again, type A personality, I think that's helpful for me because I just need to know, like, what am I doing? What do I need to do? Just give me a list of things, of actionable tasks that I need to do in order to just get to, X, Y, and Z goals or whatnot. Just tell me what I need to do. So I had found a template that I liked. And again, in that section, I talk more about it, but it's good for me to have that kind of information. So that way I have a plan and going forward, I'll be able to know like what things I should be doing. So that's helpful for me and my personality type. So that was good for that. The end of the month reflections for the writing obviously is a little skewed right now because I didn't complete my writing goal. I'm a little in my feels, so it's been a little bit hard to be in like the creative mindset to like write more effectively. So it's been a little bit weird in that way, but overall for the entire month, I am still writing. I am still adding words to the word count. I am still doing good. So we are on track. It's just a little skewed right now because of how this week has gone, obviously. So I'm just looking over at my notes of what all I wanted to mention for the end of the video wrap up. But those are the big ones for this week. So this section of the video is already long enough as it is, and this video is probably long enough as it is because it was a pretty long video. So I'm going to wrap up here. Thank you again for all of you who are joining me on this journey. I love to hear all of your reactions and all of your own courses. of what y'all are doing for your author curriculum. That's been really fun for me to read and go through all your comments of like what you guys are doing. So please continue doing that. I love to hear it. If you aren't already, I would be very appreciative if you like, comment, subscribed, all of that jazz for the video so you could follow along on this journey with me. In the meantime, we will see you again next week for, I think it'll be week 5. Good Lord, week 5. We're already 5 weeks into this? My God. So yeah, I will see you guys again next week for week 5 of the author curriculum. So until then, I'll see you. Have a good one.